You good? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Independence City Council meeting. It's Tuesday, July 13th, 2021. It's 6:30 in the evening, and we're all in person again. It's good to see everybody, everybody's real life face, and to see people in the audience. And welcome back, everybody. It's nice to see folks. You have the minutes for the June 22nd meeting in front of you, and do they meet with your approval?
I move to approve the minutes as received.
I'll second that.
And I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. And I forgot to say for the record that the council members are all here and present. So Karen now officially has that in the record. Is there any visitor comment? I see nobody jumping up to the front, so we're going to move promptly forward. First thing I get to talk about tonight, we're going to be making a Good Neighbor Award to the Independence Days Commission. And I just wanted to say a couple of things before I ask Karen to read the citation. The work of the Independence Days Commission has for some 3 decades. It's always a Herculean task to put on an event for tens of thousands of people for multiple days. As a person who's chaired that group and been a volunteer many years ago, I do have a personal understanding of what it takes to do that. And these past 2 years have been exceptionally difficult. And with changing rules, with changing situations, things changing on almost a weekly basis. And I just want most of our commission, well, our commissions and boards are generally policy, but this commission gets down and dirty. They're actually out doing it, and you've made a wonderful impact both last year when you created the little pods all over the community that were so special that people loved, that took hellacious amounts of work. I really appreciate that. And then for you folks this year too, with changing environments, to be able to pull off a wonderful event in the park and fireworks that I've never seen people so happy to see. And so I just want you to know how much I personally appreciate it. Now I'm going to ask City Recorder Johnson to read the official citation that goes with this, and then we're going to make some awards. So Ms. Johnson, to you, please.
For most of 2020 and almost all of 2021 so far, COVID-19 changed the way we live and socialize. This new construct affected so much of what we do and how we do it. To say that Independence Days Commission was tested this year and last would be an understatement. The Independence Days Commission, led by Chair Jana Thompson, had to reimagine our community's 4th of July celebration. Last year, while under strict guidelines from the governor and the CDC, the usual celebration morphed into several block parties scattered throughout the city, complete with food vendors and carnival-style games. It wasn't perfect, but to hear folks say, "I'm so glad my kids have something to do outside," and "thanks for working so hard to safeguard our community but still finding safe ways for us to acknowledge the holiday," made it all worthwhile. This year posed a different problem. Restrictions were eased, but only gradually, forcing the commission again to pull back from the usual and stage something resembling the norm. Again, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't what everyone had hoped for, but our local business owners and volunteers chipped in to help generate buzz and sell wristbands, and the commission got it done. It's been said many times, nothing happens in Independence without volunteers. And the Independence Days Commission is chock full of the most amazing volunteers. Many of the commissioners have been working on Independence Day for years, and no matter how hard of a job it is to pull off, they keep coming back for more. Jana Thompson, the ringleader, has a family and a very demanding full-time job. Nathan Jr. and Lisa Cox are local business owners who literally drop just about everything to arrange for entertainment and food and craft vendors. The Public Works and Police Departments, represented by Aaron Weimer and Sergeant Juventino Banuelos, add on Indy Day's responsibilities to their already full list of official duties. They coordinate park setup, vendor support, signage, traffic control, and security before, during, and after the event. Karen Johnson, our tireless city reporter, schedules all the commission meetings and records the minutes. The But that's not all. She's also the volunteer coordinator for the commission and staffs tables at the event every year. Natasha Adams, the newest commissioner, but no stranger to volunteering, is a full-time mom and state employee and worked hard this year to jumpstart a fledgling social media and communications program. Deputy Fire Chief Neil Olson provides invaluable support from Polk County Fire District 1. His involvement ensures fire safety, so important in our hot, dry summers, and is at the top of our priority list. And there are so many more. Vicki McCubbin, who sits on the Independence Downtown Association Board, coordinated local business engagement this year. Pete Aldrich, our fireworks contact, ensured that the long-awaited fireworks display was everything we hoped it would be. Stacy Strader, a longtime volunteer, arranged for dedicated volunteer support at the gates. Kimber Townsend organized CERT to provide any needed assistance and, in the absence of the chair, facilitated meetings. Her institutional knowledge helps to ensure every contingency is covered. And Shannon Core, who devoted countless volunteers' hours in various capacities, taking care of the risk grant program, delivering them to businesses, tracking sales, etc., and helping with volunteer coordination, just to name a few. The bottom line, Independence Days is hard to pull off, but has been especially challenging these last 2 years. All of Independence is ready for Independence Days to get back to what we know and love about it. But before planning next year can start, it's important to say a well-deserved thank you to the entire commission and adjunct members for their perseverance, hard work, and commitment to supporting our wonderful community. They are indeed all good neighbors.
Now, if you'll all come up here, I have some certificates to hand out. You think we're going to have you come down and not send you home with hardware? That's okay. Aaron, get up here. There you go.
Shannon, you need to be down there too.
Oh, you're going to make him bring it to you?
Wow, framed and everything.
You really do deserve it. Congratulations.
You did an amazing job.
Couldn't have done it without you guys.
Cool. I was very impressed.
Thank you.
Vicki?
Congratulations, Jana. Thank you. Thank you for your work.
Cool.
She did.
She's a new movie star.
Okay, we're all going to stand. This is the official picture, so it can go in the new museum.
Yay.
Okay, sugar. There you go. 1, 2, 3. Fireworks. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Natasha, does Abigail know yet that this is a life assignment?
Yes, she's determined to sell that for at least 13 more years.
Oh, good.
Counsel Kaur is the liaison for this group.
Yeah, I just want to say a few things. I'm not sure my help helped or hurt the event, quite honestly. As you know, I'm math challenged, and they gave me a math job. So hopefully next year I won't have a math job. But I just wanted to say that it's an honor working with all of you. You're just amazing. I'm just floored by your professionalism and your dedication to this community, truly. I know how busy you are in your real lives, so it's a great thing to have you do this. I also wanted to say that we have commissions, committees, and boards so that we can augment the city staff and do the work of the city. It's very important that we use these commissions to do these kinds of jobs, because not only do we help the city get things done, we also provide an opportunity for the public to get involved. So it's very important to have these, and I am just absolutely honored and floored by your work. Thank you so much for what you do.
Great, thank you. Okay, we're going to keep moving forward, if that's okay. Folks, you're welcome to stay, but I know there may be other, I think Abigail has some more fun things he would probably be more interested in doing, but whatever works is fine. Thank you very much. So I'm going to continue with my mayor's report, just to keep you folks informed. Had the opportunity in the last couple of weeks to meet more with additional congressional staff, continuing to push the Highway 2251 project, continuing to keep that in front of them. And so now when congressional staff and U.S. senators see me, they go, yes, we know about Highway 22 and 51. And so they're working on that. Had the opportunity recently, along with Sean Irvine, to give business tours to some folks that were very interested in our community, and I'm hopeful, and we'll just see how things roll, and I really appreciate Sean's efforts. Had a chance to also take our new chamber executive, Nikki Marizani, and I just called her Nikki, and she had a convertible, and we had the top down, and we drove around town, and I got a chance to show her the different things that were going on in Independence, which were very interesting to her, because there's lots of things that she wasn't aware of. Also want to let you know that I will be attending the Oregon Mayors Association conference later in July. I am a past president of that organization, and so we'll be attending that later on in the year. With that, I'm going to move forward and have Mr. Pessimir give his city manager report. Mr. Pessimir, to you, please.
So thank you, Mayor and Council. It is good to be back in person and to be talking about things. I don't have a long report today, but I did kind of want to preview a couple things that are going to be coming up on a policy level, just so you don't get surprised. The first one I'm going to talk about is House Bill 3115, which passed here recently. That was the bill to codify the Circuit Court of Appeals decision in Martin versus Boise, relating to local laws regulating the acts of sitting, lying, sleeping, or keeping warm and dry and outdoor public places in regards to persons experiencing homelessness. So this was legislation that was passed, and there are certain things that we're going to need to do over time as a city to make sure that we stay in compliance with the Court of Appeals decision. I'll just lead off by saying we already know we're in compliance with that. There's not an issue there. But, you know, it is important that we make sure that not only that we are staying in compliance, but that we are also doing everything that we can to make sure that we're staying ahead of things in this area. So really nothing for you to do tonight. This isn't something that becomes operative until July 1st of 2023. So we have lots of time, but at the same time, we feel it's important that we actually be proactive rather than reactive and make sure that we are getting out of this, in front of this. So the plan is really to evaluate what is in this legislation, have our city attorney take a careful look at it, take a careful look at what we currently have, and then to make suggestions on how we can actually keep up with the changing landscape regarding homelessness in our community and other communities. So this is really just a highlight, just letting you know we're aware that this legislation is out there, and we're going to be proactive about making sure that we are staying in front of it. The second item that is policy related is related to parking conflicts. We have definitely seen some parking conflicts between the apartment residents and the businesses in the parking lot behind the Elks Club all the way over to Osprey Point. That is a public parking lot with an easement over a number of properties. The city has the ability to manage that. That has really kind of turned in lately into being kind of an extension of parking for the apartments, which is creating conflicts for our businesses, which are just going to get worse and worse over time. So again, we're trying to be proactive in this area. We do have the ability to restrict overnight parking, so we could throw up no parking signs, or no overnight parking signs up there today if we wanted. However, we think that would really create other problems. So we're kind of trying to find a middle ground where we can do something that accommodates both and make sure that these conflicts are not overlapping as much as possible. So we'll be looking at all sorts of things. One of the things we'll definitely be looking at is parking permits. So that we'll have time-limited permits potentially either in that area or down in Riverview Park to make sure that we are able to go as long as we possibly can to support the businesses as well as support the residents that we have. So it'll be a little interesting as we try to work through that, but definitely, I'm sure you probably heard about it if you haven't seen it, and it's just going to get worse over time. We know we have parking issues, and one of the things about parking permits, it could provide some funds actually for us to do this comprehensive parking study that we want to do, because we probably have, the thing that probably would be best would be for us to take a look at a 20-year parking management plan to make sure that we have a long-term plan to deal with the success that downtown Independence is experiencing. So with good news, there's always challenges, and we're looking forward to taking those on. I'm guessing that will probably come back to you with some policy discussion after we kind of settle on some ideas to make that work the best that we can. And obviously we'll have some public outreach on that as well, just to make sure that we understand exactly how to manage those waters. At the next council meeting, we are going to have the consultant who's been helping us with our communications plan come and kind of present where they're at. They still have a couple months left on the project, but we felt it important to give you guys an update. We found out a lot of great information from listening to people in the community about what we can do and where we can really put our efforts to make the most impact. So I definitely wanted them to be able to check in with you well before they were done, so it's not like, oh, we're done and here's what you're doing. It's more like a communication to check in. But I'm personally really excited about the work they've done so far, and I think they've got great suggestions for us. It's going to be something that we have to work on over time, but it has been good to have that program underway, and hopefully you agree after the presentation on the 27th. Just a couple of other things, just real quick. We talked about Main Street at the last meeting. That is something that's here between I Street and the bridge. Traffic control is going to be a challenge there. We have asked for their traffic control plan, and we're currently reviewing it. We've also asked them to put together a proposal for night paving because we know that from what we're hearing, the paving is going to take about a week, and if we're trying to do that during the day, I know that they can keep one lane open probably most of the time, but with paving trucks and stuff coming in and out and weaving, it can be a real disruption. So we're definitely going to evaluate that for cost effectiveness, but unfortunately there isn't any way around that, as you guys noted at the last meeting. So there will be restricted one-lane traffic for periods of time. That will definitely be unavoidable in order to put the water lines in and to actually prep the road for the paving. So I just want to make sure that we're keeping that in front of you and keeping it in front of the public, because it will be a disruption and there will be delays related to that project, which are unfortunately unavoidable, but we're doing what we can to try to do that. We're also going to be putting up some signs here very soon, just so it gives people some notice that that project is coming. But it will be a little while before the contractor actually gets out there and begins their work. Just a couple last things. Summer concert series starts this Thursday with the movies on Thursday and the concert on Friday. Sean has played a huge role in getting that up and running in Courtney's absence, so thanks to Sean for stepping in. I think he has a new appreciation for Courtney. And so we're excited to actually see that. Definitely be much more low-key this year. We're not bringing in the big bands that we expect to bring in the big crowds. We're trying to keep it much more local and just still have a good time, but not overwhelm what's going on. And then just a reminder that I'm going to be out of the office August 3rd through the 16th. So taking my second daughter back to Tennessee to college, so I'll be gone, and just wanted to keep that in front of you. And then if you have any questions for me or my staff, now's the time.
I did have one question. when we're doing the repaving down here, will there be any compromise to the bridge if paving trucks are coming over that as far as weight?
No, I mean, we can check, but you bring up a good subject that I don't think maybe I followed up with publicly. I think we did privately, but the Marion County hired a separate engineer to re-rate the bridge, and ODOT looked at that, and so they definitely raised the limits up above what a fully loaded dump truck, which would be typically the type of stuff you would be having bringing the asphalt in over that bridge. So it would be fine.
Okay.
The good news is once they recognize the trouble with the farm equipment, and I know Councilor Roden played a role in helping to communicate with them, they actually took a second look at it and made things a lot more
Good.
convenient for people. So.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. I think the next person is Mr. Irvine.
Yeah, and let me kind of just introduce
Please.
this because we're doing something a little bit new. One of the things that is really important is that periodically department managers have the opportunity to kind of talk to council about all the really hard work that they're doing, because it gets lost sometimes in all of the stuff that's going on, and it's gotten lost in the conversation in the 3 years since, or 2.5 years since I've been here, just because every time we've had an opportunity to do it, whether it's at a budget meeting or a retreat, we've had something else going on that's kind of interrupted that flow. So I thought the next best thing would be to actually bring in one department a month and just kind of have them kind of go through everything, so it's not such a download on you and it's not such a burden on them. And Sean graciously offered to kick this off, and so he'll kind of give you the first one, but you can kind of expect that every month we'll have someone coming up and kind of talking about what they're going on, and it's an opportunity for you to ask questions about what's going on in the department as well. Some will be longer, some will be shorter, depending on departments, but definitely want to make sure that you, as well as the residents in the city, know all the hard work that's being done by staff. So
Tom, speaking of departments, what's going on with the Public Works Department Director?
Yeah, so we still have the advertisement out. We haven't found a qualified candidate yet. We did get an application the other day, and I expect another one here in the next few days. So Ken and I have been in close contact about that. Ken is our Public Works, Kim Perkins is our Public Works Supervisor. And I think we're still both on the same page. We're glad we didn't hire an interim. It's been certainly a lot more work for me and for him, but at the same time, there's a continuity in systems in Public Works that can really get broken up if you bring people in and out. So we're still advertising and looking, but there's a number of cities that are advertising and looking as well. So,
Okay. Thanks.
Good evening, Sean. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm happy to be here. Appreciate the opportunity to chat with you a little bit about economic development, kind of what we do and why. I'm kind of going to do a little bit of sort of the not necessarily the philosophical side, but the why behind it, and then also talk about some of what we actually do. And if you got questions, feel free to interrupt. No need for me to just blather on all the way to the end before taking questions. So again, I'm just going to give Karen the high sign to to shift things over here. So traditional economic development, it's pretty straightforward. They call it a three-legged stool. They focus on recruitment, business retention, expansion, and sometimes they just focus on entrepreneurship. Other communities take a broader approach and focus on community development, which is what we do. We'll go to the next slide. Business recruitment is really the area that a lot of cities, and it's kind of the area that people think of when they think of economic development. It's going out, finding a business and enticing them to come to the community through some means. It's definitely a part of it. It's an important part. It's very challenging because you have to know really with good detail your infrastructure, your kind of your community assets, your workforce, all of these kind of things. Because, for example, I got a lead on a food processor that needed 1 million gallons a day of water. That's like as much water as the entire city uses right now. So I don't necessarily want to spend a lot of time recruiting that business. And similarly with workforce, if it requires a specialized workforce that we don't have, there's no sense spending time on it. So it involves a lot of legwork and a lot of understanding. And what we tend to do we want to be ready. We tend to take a responsive approach as opposed to a proactive, go out and cold call people and kind of try to drum up new industry. We have properties in town that we make sure are available, that are ready. We have one industrial property in town that's certified shovel ready. So that means you can come in here and start building quickly. That's attractive to industry. Similarly for the downtown, you keep kind of in touch with the property owners, the real estate folks to kind of know which properties are available and for how much. And then really, like I say, we try to be more responsive than actually kind of going out and cold calling, because it takes a lot of time, and it's a very low percentage return, I would say, on the time spent. If I get a call from somebody who's looking, I'm definitely responding to it. But when you think of Independence versus a place like Salem, for a large manufacturer that's going to have a large area, a lot of employees, the benefit of being in Independence versus the benefit of being in a place like Salem or Portland or Eugene, it's, unless there's a specific reason for them to be here or in this area, it's a tough ask to say, hey, Independence is the right place for you, because you tend to hear a lot about incentives with recruitment. Some communities really try hard to entice businesses just by throwing money at them. If it doesn't work from a business perspective, then it's not going to work no matter how much money you throw at them. But again, there are some businesses that make sense for here, and so we do some targeted recruitment. With MyNet, with our fiber optic system, with our rural proximity to agriculture and food, there's some target areas that I kind of keep an eye out for. And the FCR contact center, I think, is a good example of the type of recruitment that we do, which is we identify those targets like a contact center that benefits from fiber. So literally saw it in a newspaper that they were trying to go into Cottage Grove. It was an Oregon company that likes to be in small rural communities. And so I was like, okay, that's ringing all the bells. And they happened to publish the president's name in the newspaper. So, and they were having trouble going to Cottage Grove. So I picked up the phone and called them and said, hey, if it doesn't work out there, what about here? But again, you have to kind of know a lot about what they need. So like a call center, they need a lot of parking, they need a lot of people, they need a lot of bandwidth, and so we're able to say, we have this great spot with a lot of parking, we've got a lot of bandwidth, we've got everything you need to make that pitch. And it still took 2 years of kind of maintaining that relationship, talking to him, didn't get it at that time, but he said, hey, we're doing more, so maybe one of these later ones. And it's, you got to build that relationship and maintain that connection, and you might get lucky down the road. So, I don't mean to diminish the importance of recruitment, but again, for a community like Independence, it's tough. And so we try to take a very targeted and efficient approach to recruitment, respond to the opportunities that really make sense. And then we work with our partners at SEDCOR to kind of handle the more broader, just kind of going out and marketing the community and the region to these larger manufacturers. And still, I typically have 2 or 3 kind of prospects going at any given time, some of them for years, literally, because it's just, you just call them, just check in every now and then and say, hey, how's it going? Just making sure that you're still doing this and possibly interested, and you never know what's going to happen. Next slide. So business retention expansion, any good economic development person is going to tell you that this is where you should spend most of your time, especially in a smaller community, because you're working with the businesses that are already here. And if they're already here, presumably they like being here. And if they don't like being here, you should probably figure out why and try to change that. So, it requires, as you might expect, a lot of contact and relationship building. And you're going to hear me talk about relationship building a lot. That is the fundamental aspect of economic development, in particular the way we practice it. But, it's a lot of just calling, emailing, going and visiting, talking to the business owners, the foremen, the people in the businesses, just how's it going? What are you running into? Do you have any needs? Do you have any problems? Are you succeeding so much that you need to grow? Just those check-ins to see how things are going, and then really trying to route them to whatever can help them solve whatever need they have. If they're sometimes it's as simple as I've got this building permit. I'm trying to do this thing, and I haven't heard anything for 2 weeks. What's going on? That's easy. That's an easy. Just poke my head into Jeff's office. What's going on with this? communicate, and things keep going. Other times, it's things like connecting with consultants or classes because, I'm growing really fast and I don't know how to manage it. I need to talk to somebody who can help me kind of understand my procurement and sourcing of raw materials and kind of scaling of my recipe for my food product or what have you. We've got partners that we can connect up to bring those resources in. Other times, it's money. It's a facade improvement grant. It's a Main Street grant that can help rehab a building. It's a city revolving loan that can help them, kind of make the improvements they need to start their business or grow their business. And then other times, it's just connecting with a property owner again. Look, we're bursting at the seams here. We need a place that's got double the room. And of course, I don't want you to move out of town. So let's see if we can find you somewhere else in town to go to. So it's again just a lot of that kind of maintaining relationships. Figuring out solutions to whatever problems they have, and many times they're good problems. It's like I'm growing too fast. How do I deal with this? But it's still a problem, and so it's a very individualized approach to economic development. So the third part of the stool is community development, and this is an area that, frankly, is pretty often neglected by communities. Because it's really easy to get focused on just that specific business piece. But you're talking about entrepreneurship, startups, you're talking about quality of life. A good community that people want to live in is the kind of place that businesses want to be, that their employees are going to want to live there. They're going to want to be there. It's just got a better feel. It's making sure your workforce is trained up and skilled up in the latest and greatest and knows kind of what they need to know to be able to secure jobs or to be able to take employment at whatever business is either in the area or you're trying to recruit the area. And then infrastructure as well. Again, if you don't have sufficient water, sufficient sewer, broadband, those types of things, your businesses aren't going to be able to grow. And again, it's kind of a squishy third leg, but it really, I think, is what kind of makes it all work. It's what kind of fits it all together, because there's a lot of communities that will focus entirely on recruitment, maybe do a little bit of BRE also, but it's that holistic piece of the community itself. It's good schools, it's great parks, it's kind of people that say hello to each other in the street. All of that is what kind of fits in to really make that great whole that makes it easy to bring and grow businesses to a community. So if you ask any other communities in Oregon, what kind of small towns that do good economic development, they'll talk about independence and they'll say we do things differently. Part of what makes us different is we have this vision that guides us, and it's this vision that started back in 1996 with this community-wide engagement process, and we've done a couple more to the Vision 2020, which was done in 2008, the Vision 2040, which was just recently completed in 2020, where we go out to the community and say, where do you guys want to see the community go? What do we need to do to get there? That sets that North Star that then lets us sort of proceed collectively, even if we're not going exactly the same direction, we're still all going generally the same direction. And that really guides our economic development work. What the community has said consistently over time is we need our downtown to be this vibrant hub of the community. It should be the place that people go to meet friends. It should be a place that they can go to shop, to eat, to have fun, to recreate. It needs to be that hub of the community. And if it is that vibrant hub of the community, the rest will follow. The rest of the community will continue to develop and prosper. And that's really kind of what we're working towards. And the other benefit of this engagement that we do is it creates leverage. You get community members, other partner organizations, other people bought into that vision who say, I love that direction, this is where we want to go to, and this is what we can do to help us get there. And that as a very, very small staff, that helps us leverage our efforts. If we've got an organization or an individual who's willing to do something that will also help the community achieve its goal, we want to support them because that gets us where we're going as well. So I mentioned we're a small team, and there's 3 of us, and we're putting the time in. But I want to just kind of, when I say it takes a team, I'm really actually talking about everybody here at City Hall, and actually within the city, the city government, I should say, because every city says they're business friendly. If you're a business and you go to any city in the country and say, I'm thinking about doing business in your community, they'll say, we're very business friendly. And then you go and talk to the building official or the planner or the public works people and find out that they're not that business friendly. So I really have to give credit to our building folks, our planner, Fred, our public works department, is particularly. They consistently get high marks from people about how it is to work with them. Doesn't mean that they always roll over and say yes. We play by the same rules as everybody else, but we have a real culture of, if I have to say no about something, it's, well, no, but here's what you can do, or no, because of these reasons, and if you can fix these reasons, we can say yes. It's not just a no, go away. And that, honestly, is one of our biggest, recruiting benefits is people come and talk to other business owners and they say, yeah, the city hall is easy to work with. They will help you as opposed to be a hindrance. And when when I'm out there saying, yes, we're business friendly, yes, we're easy to work with, and then it's getting backed up by the rest of our staff, it's incredibly helpful. And again, it's a relationship-based business. I keep saying that. I get leads from Public Works. I get leads from the building department. They're out there talking with contractors or talking with other people, and they'll come back and say, hey, this person, they're thinking about opening a business, that does this. Like, nope, don't know them. Give me their phone number. So it's a great give and take. And then, you've got Courtney and Ramon who work with me. They're the boots on the ground. The three of us are out there just constantly talking to people. It's about making connections, listening, learning, asking. It's just a constant process of gathering input from the community, but particularly from the businesses when we're talking about economic development. And then also acting as outlets for information, because the business owners want to know what's going on, like what's going on with 4th of July. It's been changing every day. It's those types of things where there can be that nice give and take about what's going on, about opportunities for businesses, about what's going on with COVID, all of these things. That's what builds that relationship and that rapport, because we want the business owners to be able to essentially just feel like they can pick up the phone and call us or send us an email, ask a question, get it answered. That's what you want. And then partner organizations. I mentioned it already, but partners make the world go round for us because we can't do it all ourselves. We need those partners to help us do it as well. Next. So a little bit, Ramon's a little bit of an interesting position because he's not pure economic development. He does a lot of just community engagement. And it's really important work. And again, it's really individualized work. With COVID, he spun up this Zoom, Latino Zoom group that met every Friday. They still meet once a month on Friday. Great way of getting information out. And also, again, kind of being able to ask people, what's going on? What's happening with this? What about that? Sort of pitching possibilities and getting feedback from the community. He spent a lot of time on the census, and that is an economic development benefit because we need to know about our community, what their characteristics are, where the weak spots are that we need to be focusing on and targeting. And then, frankly, with the census, the more people you count, the more federal money you get. So there's some definite benefits there as well. But he does a lot of, next slide. He does a lot of individualized connections, and it's really hard to kind of quantify the benefit of that because it's just not a easily quantified thing. But when I talk about the benefits of him, he's getting at the Latino community in particular is very they like personal relationships, individual communication, and he's that conduit for us, and it pays off in situations like the middle top picture there. He got together with a Latina business owner who, kind of spoke limited English and helped her fill out a COVID grant application, because, he wanted to make sure that he was getting out there on an individual basis to make sure everybody was accessing those grant opportunities for the businesses that were available. He's bringing leadership opportunities to the community through Capacas Leadership Institute and other organizations to, again, get community members trained up, skilled up, being able to help, sort of be better participants in their community. making individual connections, for example, with St. Patrick's Church, being able to kind of bridge that connection between the folks doing COVID vaccines in the church so they could have a COVID vaccination event at the church, with the Spanish Mass, so they can target the Latino community. Just all of those things really, it's hard to quantify, but it makes it easy to be flexible. It makes it easy to move quickly. It makes it easy to be innovative, because we can just say, hey, Ramon, do you have somebody who can do this? Or do you know somebody who is a connection for that? And he can just pick up the phone and call them. And all of this, again, Ramon's a little bit of a 50-50 in terms of economic development, but I really believe that this engagement aspect is a part of economic development. An engaged community is critical to a community that's truly business friendly, that truly has good economic development prospects, because you feel like you can be involved and engaged and see your dreams succeed, frankly. Next slide. So, I said it before, we do things a little differently here. And when Ramon and Courtney and I are getting together to talk projects, we really try to prioritize things, projects and events that achieve multiple goals or create multiple impacts. And again, we're kind of guided by that community vision of revitalizing the downtown and supporting local business. But it's like, and then what? What else can we do? How else can we leverage this? So, we're also trying to eventually build both community and economy. So, it's not just about getting dollars into the businesses, it's about creating opportunities for the community to interact with each other, for the community to be special. And so, we're trying to create spaces for interaction, for people to have fun, enhance that quality of life, but that also generates spending for local businesses. And again, kind of always like, how does this help the downtown? So the Airstream rallies that we did a couple of years, that's a great example. It was bring a bunch of Airstreams, park them down on Main Street. It looks cool. It's really neat. They're offering tours. It also brings a lot of people downtown. And the Airstream people themselves would go and eat in the restaurants and shop in the stores. So that brings money. With partners, we're working with the Downtown Association, IDA, frequently on these types of projects to essentially just keep having these events, these activities that will both create a sense of community, but also have an economic impact. So Ramon led I think a great example of this, which is the Bike Indie project and the Drop the Hammer weekends. We've done a lot with bicycle tourism and bike infrastructure the last several years, putting in repair stations, a biker boat or campground, things like that. And Ramon's a big biker, if you don't know. So he spearheaded this idea of creating BikeIndieOregon.com, which is a place that people looking to go ride their bikes in the area can find routes and information about where to stay and things to do. And then we created, or we all created, we worked together on this, Drop the Hammer weekends, which is a once a quarter, it's a community thing. It's get anybody who wants to come ride a bike, come on Saturday or Sunday, and there's 3 or 4 different rides you can take of different lengths depending on your ability, and you just get together and ride them, and then you kind of have a little celebration at the end. And again, there's everything from a 3-mile in-town ride to it was like an 85-mile crazy person ride. But it's about accessibility. It's about anybody who wants to, and it draws from far. Like we have people from Portland. We actually had a couple people from Seattle that came. So you're pulling 90 to 100 people each of these weekends. We've done 3 so far. Many of them have never been to the community before, so you're getting that kind of new people to town, spending money. And then the extra piece was we created this Bike Indie Pass, and this was kind of Ramon's brainchild. He went around to all the businesses and said, hey, if somebody comes in and shows this Bike Indie Pass, would you give them a discount of some type? And it's all kind of online and automated, so it's easy. And it gives sort of a benefit for anybody who's riding a bike in town. If you're riding a bike, you got a Bike Indie Pass, you can get discounts at any of, I think it's now 8 downtown businesses. So it's, again, kind of a way to draw people into to the businesses, and then hopefully get them coming back. You've got the event weekend once a quarter, and hopefully they're going to come back sometime else, and before the next event, and go to those businesses and shop in the places. And then incorporating other things, like there was a helmet giveaway at the last one. Ramon's done a couple of other kind of community bike safety events, those types of things. He's organizing the Oregon Hop Run, which is another great kind of both community and tourism draw. And then he's also worked with an event promoter to bring the Hophead 100, which is a new bike event that's going to be coming to the community in October. So he's really been getting engaged in that side of things. So yeah, you've seen this slide before, but I think it bears repeating. Again, what's our focus? We're trying to support local businesses, especially downtown businesses. That's our vision. That's our kind of our imperative. And then how do we create leverage to create more impact? We've got this plaza. With COVID, we put the picnic tables out there. We put the cafe lights to make the sort of outdoor dining area to encourage people to come downtown and eat. When we did the drive-ins, we did an ad reel before the movies, so we can do we made our own ads for the downtown businesses so that people get an idea. And if you brought food or a receipt from a local business to the movies, you got entered in a raffle for a free night at the hotel. Again, encouraging people, not just have a community event of the movie, or a community event that we're going to encourage people to also spend money in local restaurants. And then, in continuing, again, that idea of building community and economy. We have a pumpkin patch event, in the park, so people can pick pumpkins, but we put 5 indie bucks on each one that could be spent in any downtown business. So we're encouraging people, hey, you got a pumpkin, now you got $5 free. Let's go get you into a downtown business, and then hopefully you'll spend more than $5. The Glow event, just again, a great easy thing that's accessible to everybody, because we want the whole, that's another imperative from the vision, is get everybody able to access these things, able to enjoy them. But it's a way to get people downtown when they normally don't want to be outside, because it's usually kind of December timeframe that it's rainy and cold and people don't want to be outside. And then of course the Scratch-Its, that was a big success. And again, just kind of it's great community. People see it and like, that's cool. Like it's like they're proud to be in a place that does that kind of stuff. That's a great community thing, and it also was a big benefit to the businesses. In addition to the Scratch-It dollars that the businesses got, we asked the businesses to track how much money was spent, like the total ticket that the Scratch-It was spent on, and we had 8 of them do it in the last one, and found that typically for every $1 of Scratch-It that went out, the businesses got $5 of total, in terms of the total ticket. So it wasn't just somebody spending a $5 Scratch-It on a $5 beer. It was $5 Scratch-It on a $25 meal or something like that. I think the caveat with all of this is it all takes a lot of time to organize these things. And Tom kind of alluded to that. I've been missing Courtney. She was out on maternity leave, and you probably may have noticed that we haven't done a ton of promotions the last couple of months. It's because we just don't have the capacity to without her around. And so I am very happy to have her back, because when you think about even the Scratch-Its, which is a relatively easy program, just collecting the Scratch-Its from each business, there was 23 businesses. So if you figure 15 minutes per business, that's the better part of a day right there. And then you still got to factor in off, when they're open, when they're not, things like that. So it really sucks up time quickly doing a lot of these things, but it's worth it. Next one. So the River's Edge, Tom mentioned it. We're really excited again. This was one of these, we built an amphitheater. A lot of cities would have just kind of stopped there, and we said, no, we need to activate it. We need to do something that's going to be great for the community, that's also going to be great for the businesses. And so we've successfully grown the River's Edge Summer Series to what it is today, and we're really excited to be getting it started again, because, in addition to being a boon to the downtown businesses and the local food carts that are at the event, it's a recruitment tool. I mean, I can't tell you how many business prospects I've talked to that said they go to the concerts. They're like, yeah, I've been going to those concerts. Like, it's been great watching what's going on downtown. Like, I'm ready to move my business here. I have that conversation regularly. It puts a great face on the community. It also requires a lot of coordination. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, but that's what it takes to do it well. And again, I want to just kind of make a quick shout out to Public Works, because they do a ton of behind the scenes work for Summer Series, especially for 4th of July, but for a lot of the events and activities that go on, the flower baskets, putting them up, things like that they just never get credit for. And I talk to a lot of my colleagues from other communities, and I tell them, the things that our public works department does. And they're just like, your public works guys do that? Like, that's amazing. They really are, our secret weapon for Independence being what it is, and especially for the events that go on. They are really, really, really special. And frankly, the police department as well. They're great about working with us, engaging ahead of time, making sure everything is coordinated and secure and safe. And just it's great to have, like I said a while ago, the team aspect of this. We all have our part to play. And we all work really well together, or most of the time work pretty well together. But we all, we're all kind of in it with this same vision of where we're going and what we're trying to achieve. So tourism, that's another area that's important, and a lot of economic development folks tend to ignore. But that's bringing people from outside the area to spend money, and that's essentially traded sector industry, which is the name of the game. We, again, working with partnerships, we've got tourism is one of these things that, no one small community has enough to entertain somebody for multiple days. So it's better to work collaboratively and kind of pool your assets and promote yourselves as a region to bring people to the area. So in this case, we've got a partnership with the 3 cities in the county and a bunch of other businesses and chambers called the Polk County Tourism Alliance to promote the region, explore Polk County through Travel Salem to bring visitors to the area. For a couple of years, we were able to fund a full-time staff person to actually kind of do a lot of this work, because it's one of these things that's just like everything. You need somebody to do that work to actually get it done, chase down all those details. And that unfortunately fell off with COVID, but if all goes well, the 3 cities have committed to refunding that position, and the county we're going to be approaching shortly. And we really hope to bring that position back, because it's one of those things that, again, you need somebody who's focused on doing this so that, because we all got our own stuff to focus on right now. Next slide. The idea is you got to bundle your assets. So the Great Oaks Food Trail is the most recent project. Courtney's done a lot of work with that, as well as a lot of other partners, where we've got anybody who has a locally grown food product, a locally grown, locally made, restaurants that source food locally, breweries, wineries, all kind of packaged together as this food trail that is roughly in Polk County. But again, you need the Polk County person to be doing that piece of the work. You also need the local person to feed the information up. So Courtney did a lot of legwork for the food trail, talking to local businesses. Hey, you would qualify for this. We need your information. We need to get, to fill out this application form. We need your hours. We need your website. All of those little details that are, not super difficult, but just take forever to get together and get organized and get moving. But it just, we need to feed that. We've sort of created this marketing machine that runs up to sort of the regional and state level, but we need to feed our stories into that marketing machine. They're not going to do it for us, and that's really what we're trying to do. Entrepreneurship, it's really important. It's in addition to working with the businesses that are already here, it's important. You need people starting new businesses, because they're the ones that are going to grow and hire more people. For us, it's really about building an ecosystem, a place where people feel like, if I have a business idea, if I want to start a business, I know where to go to get the information I need to start my business. I know kind of who to talk to, who can help me grow my business. I know that the business owners who are here will work with me to collaborate and all of us grow our businesses together. Because being a small town, we all got to be working together here. And it's interesting, even a lot of you think of, for example, restaurants. If somebody goes to this restaurant, then that means the other restaurant's losing a customer. No, if you've got a bunch of restaurants together, that's a cluster, that's a destination, and somebody who will go to one restaurant will see that other restaurant and say, oh, I got to go by and check that place out next time I come to town. And there's opportunities for even businesses that seemingly are competitors to work together to kind of promote, do joint promotions. And again, it's that vision about support, revitalizing the downtown, supporting local businesses, working with a partner, Indie Commons, the Indie Idea Hub nonprofit that's spun out of it, doing things like meetups We run an event called Fail Fest, which has been a lot of fun, celebrating failure, because you always learn more from failure than you do from success. And it's kind of pop-up business fair at the church, but it's really about kind of pulling people out who are interested in starting businesses, getting them connected into the resources and into the scene, basically, getting them talking to each other and engaging with each other. And then, there's other partners as well, Merit, the Small Business Development Center. All of that kind of collectively helps, us, expand our efforts, because we don't have the time to do it all of ourselves. The technical assistance program during the last fall, during COVID, is a great example of this. It's business retention and expansion. Working with Indie Idea Hub as a partner, because they did a lot of the work, most of the work, but they served 30 local businesses, connecting them with consultants to help them do a very specific thing that helped their business. In the process, got a lot of great information about where their business was in terms of as a business and what they needed to succeed, what else they might need. Got a lot of them connected to each other. And then also the consultants that we use were local consultants. So many of the business owners are still in touch, either working with on a fee basis or working with on a volunteer basis, those same consultants who are helping them continue to grow and expand that in whatever initiative that they started. So that's been a great one. And again, going back to Ramon, he helped a lot with that outreach, getting that information out to the local businesses. Right now, the Indie Idea have just wrapped up a business surveyed 24 local businesses to just kind of get an idea of, again, where things are at, how are they confident, are they not confident, what kind of barriers do they see. Ramon did 6 of those interviews in Spanish with Latino business owners, because we want to make sure that we're getting that well-rounded perspective of, who the business owners are, what they need, where they see things going. Next one. The smart ag and technology innovation, this is something that I've talked about for quite a while, and it's actually a great success that is something we started because of the broadband initiative, trying to be this interface between technology and agriculture to create new companies, new jobs, make farmers more competitive. That's worked well enough that SEDCOR has actually kind of taken it and run with it, and it makes more sense as a regional thing anyways, as opposed to the city doing it. But they got a big federal grant, and they're actually working on field trials right now for several companies that would be coming here and working with a local farmer to pilot a new technology that will make them more competitive and potentially be a technology that can scale. And then they're also doing things like design sprints to help people generate new ideas, learn more about agriculture, get more interested in developing agricultural companies. And it's that's going to be happening out of Indie Commons. So even though we've kind of handed that baby off, we're still deeply involved and frankly reaping the benefits of being the hub of this activity, where the meetups and the design sprints and those kinds of things are going to be happening here at Independence. So we get that reputation where if you're talking about agricultural technology, if you're talking about agricultural innovation, you're saying, Independence is the place to go, and Independence is the place to check out if you want to plug into that scene. So a few, just kind of a preview of things that are coming. We've been screaming busy and have even more going on, and again, it has to do with partnerships. So there's the new shared use commercial kitchen over at Indie Commons. We're going to be working to build out more programming to help the entrepreneurs they're already starting to use that. There's, I think, 6 of them that are using the kitchen now. So kind of how do we build out more programming to celebrate food entrepreneurship, get people excited about it, thinking about it, and then support the ones who are actually taking the positive steps towards starting food-based businesses. The Indie Idea Hub was actually just announced as one of the initial cohort of 4 in the Ford Family Foundation's new GROW initiative, which is Growing Rural Oregon, and it's a 5-year program to essentially establish entrepreneurial ecosystems in rural communities. So it's going to help us continue to grow our entrepreneurship programming and support in this community. Again, trying to keep everything connected and working together. There's an AmeriCorps Vista is going to be arriving on Saturday. to start working with Indie Idea Hub on digital skilling for community members. So, this is an area that we've really been interested in when you talk about workforce and community. It's not just about bringing, we could import a bunch of high-wage techie guys, and all of a sudden it looks like Independence is a great high-wage community, but if we haven't worked with the people who already live here and helped them acquire new skills and new jobs that pay better, then we haven't really done anything. And so that's what this is about, is working with folks, who have no digital skills. Here's an email address, here's how you use email, but also helping people understand how to access online jobs and, how to gain the skills needed to access those jobs, as well as working with area employers to say, okay, you might be a mill, you might be a, a dentist's office. What are the digital skills, the computer skills that you need your, entry-level people or your sort of next step up people to have? And now, okay, let's develop a program to teach those skills to folks in the community so they can access those jobs. Because it's really, it's one thing to bring the jobs, it's another thing to actually get people, plugging into them. We've developed a new visitor-oriented website called experienceindiaoregon.com. That's been the last several months of work developing content and look. You probably haven't seen anything about it because it's literally, we just went live with it on the web like last week and haven't started promoting it yet, but it's intended to be something that's both for community members and visitors, where, with sort of story ideas of things to do, itineraries. If you're coming to the hotel and kind of feeling like, well, what is there to do in Independence? That's what this website is for. It's also intended to be a little bit of a window into Independence itself. We've got a section called Our Independence, and it's interviews with business owners. It's kind of a story behind the scenes of different things, just so people get a feel for what Independence is and what makes it tick, and what makes it special, really. And then lastly, the American Rescue Plan. That is at some point going to come down, the money for that, and that's going to be a ton of work. I'm really, really, really excited about it because there's a lot of really cool things that we can do, and a lot of ideas that we've already had, and a lot of great partnerships that I think we can leverage. But that's going to be one where I think we're definitely, especially you look at this list of what we're already doing and what's already upcoming, we are rapidly going to run out of people capacity to do all of the things that we want to do.
Business owners. So what do you think about that? As we grow, how do we continue to do this kind of service?
That's an interesting question. I was actually, one of our partners from Tennessee for the Ag Innovation was in town yesterday, and we actually were having this exact conversation, how do you scale relationships? And, I'm honestly not sure the answer to that. I mean, because ultimately it's people. You need people actually out there talking. You can't do it with an email blast. You can do it sort of with an email blast, but it's not as effective as somebody actually out there talking. So I don't have a great,
Well, I'm glad you're thinking of it, though. That's good. That's the first step, I guess. So my second question is, the Smart Ag and Tech Innovation. Do you think this is something that maybe the Climate Commission can support?
maybe, I guess because climate change is definitely a significant aspect or kind of area that technology is interested in with regard to agriculture. And there's a lot of agricultural practices that can be beneficial in that context. I guess I don't know enough about what the climate,
We haven't quite stood it up yet either. That's the other part of the equation. But it just ticked my mind a little bit. And the last one, this digital skilling for community members. How will that work at a practical level? Is that actually just for business owners to participate in, or are you talking about the entire community, residents and all?
This would be residents and all. This would
Okay.
be essentially working with the businesses to identify skills that are needed, as well as potential work experience opportunities, and then basically building a program to teach those skills. We're also working with Willamette Workforce Partnership that has some curriculum and some programming already developed around this. But the end idea, I've seen some of these types of programs before, and it works much better when you've got a job at the end, to kind of dangle out there to say, hey, and we're not necessarily looking at like the sort of the 6-month code camps or anything like that. That's sort of the next level. If somebody's interested in that, we'll kind of be able to send them to, whatever makes sense there. But what we want to do is say, here's these various jobs that are either in demand, or here's these 5 or 10 employers that are actively hiring for these different positions with these different skills. Here's a 1 week, 1 month program, I'm not quite sure what it's going to be yet, that will give you those skills. And ideally, we want to have those employers sort of promise to at least interview somebody who has completed the course. That's the idea. Everything will come out in the wash, so to speak, once we actually get going on it. But and then of course the other side of it is just kind of that delivering the basic skills of, if you don't even know how to Google, if you don't know how to turn on a computer, let's get you at least proficient in some of those basic skills. Because we've heard from some farmers about, I got this new seed sorter and it runs off of an iPad, and I handed the iPad to my 30-year worker, and he just was like, I don't know what to do with this. So, that's like, that's an opportunity.
I feel the same way about my city iPad, but it's just me.
Counsel Roden, I think you had some questions.
So, gosh, there's so many times I want to interrupt you, and I had to just stay calm because, I wanted to know the results of the survey you took, and I wanted to know the results of these meetings, and I wanted to know what concrete things happen when we have these meetings to help people in downtown. So do you see that there is an issue with business turnover between the 18th and 24-month mark in businesses? And how do we stop that from happening?
So that's a fairly well-established danger zone for businesses generally. Is you start up a business, and then the first couple of years are your most your most likely to fail time. We have some reasonably, at least we've got some businesses that have made it past that 2-year point.
But we have a really high turnover.
Yeah. There is always going to be some turnover. I think what was interesting in the survey results, we're still we've got a guy tabulating it essentially to sort of finalize, sort of formalize the report. But the interesting thing that we heard, especially with COVID, was first off that the business owners really, really, truly appreciated the support of the community, and not dollar support, but like the residents coming in and saying, we're so happy you're open, we're so happy you're here. And that literally for some of them said that was why I stuck it out. They all seem to be on the upswing, in terms of, getting better. The other thing we heard that was really interesting was they really wanted more opportunities to, informal opportunities to learn from each other. This has brought many of our business owners closer together, to kind of, talking to each other, learning from each other. And a bunch of them have said that, I don't know anything about social media, but I talked to John over at Crush, and he kind of got me sorted out and got me started. And then, the technical assistance program got them kind of rolling to the next step. And so there's, a lot of those kind of things I think are very promising. And because that's frankly what we want to encourage, is to build that sense of community.
So I should have prefaced this by saying I've gone to downtown communities, and they have 9 times out of 10 or better have appreciated the support you've given them and how welcoming you've been. So I appreciate that, and thank you for that. But in our community, we need to be able to have events more than once a quarter and that reach 100 people. We need to have events that bring in thousands of people, because all these businesses are now to the point where they're really excited to see people, but they can't pay their bills. And so we need to get foot traffic into these places. So what do these things that you're doing get people through people's doors, more people in through their doors?
So I think that's where, frankly, the partnerships come in, is where, we're trying to work with IDA and, other, anybody who wants to do events to try to, it's events, especially large events like that are, they're challenging to organize. It takes a lot of time and effort. So, we're in a lot of ways trying to start small and grow, because it's also tough to hit those big events, right off the bat. I think you see that with the summer series where it started, we were pulling 100, 200 people for several years until we kind of changed things and were able to start growing it. So I think that's largely the approach that we've taken. The other side of it is, trying to work with the business owners to best be able to take advantage of the events that are already happening. Because I know that can be a challenge. So I don't have a great answer for you. It's things like the Scratch It campaign and the pumpkin patch downtown. It's just we're trying to identify, frankly, easy wins that won't take half a year's worth of effort to get going.
Right.
Or if we can work with like Ida, with the Hobbit Heritage Festival to get that back up to somewhere that it used to be.
Well, and my last thing, and then I'll stop, is I think we need to look bigger to get people thriving past that 18th and 24-month mark. And I know I've said this repeatedly, but I would really appreciate it if we could really take a hard look at developing the sports park. Because I really feel that in conjunction with the music and the movies in the park, we could bring in not 100 people a quarter, we could bring in thousands of people on a weekend. And so I really would like that to be a focus, because I think that in itself could make business turnover a lot less in downtown Independence and really make not just the people in our community struggle to pay their bills, but to thrive in paying their bills.
Additional questions, please.
I had a question. I think it's fantastic that you and your team go into the small businesses and specifically downtown. How do you pick and choose which businesses to go into? It seems like it's kind of it's the same. I know there's not a ton of businesses, but are there businesses that are being left out? Are there businesses that you guys don't want to work with? How is that handled?
We try to at least hit, so like if there's going to be a promotion like the Scratches or something like that, we try, so the first one, it was literally like a 3-day turnaround before we had to get it ordered, so we just sent out an email blast, and the first, whoever responded by the third day, that was who was in. In future ones, we tried to actually get into at least every business and say, hey, are you interested? Do you want to participate? And that's kind of the way we try to do it, is say, here's what's going on, are you interested, do you want to participate? Some things lend themselves better to certain businesses than others, so, the food trail, professional services business isn't going to be on the food trail, so we usually, we might skip the business for something like that. I was going to say something else, and I totally forgot what I was going to say. So I think, I think in general, we try to focus on, locally owned. That's sort of the main criteria. Is it a locally owned business? We tend to leave the chains alone. And then is it sort of on brand or on mission for whatever the thing is? So if it's a restaurant-oriented thing, we're talking to restaurants and food operations. Sometimes we miss people. We've had a few snafus in that regard, but we do try to at least get in front of everybody.
Okay.
And you talk to businesses outside the downtown zone as well.
Oh, yeah. So for, the Scratch-Its, we did end up expanding that to include, Starduster and San Antonio. Yeah, and then we actually did talk to, I think Courtney went into every locally owned restaurant, and just some of them didn't want to participate.
Great. Okay, and I'm just going to add that I've had the pleasure of working with you and other staff people, and as we've recruited, encouraged, and you never know when you're going to meet. Did you want to say anything about some of the new businesses that are coming into our community? Are you able to talk about that?
I can name them. I'm definitely not able to say when they're going to open because I don't know. But yeah, so there's the Hearts Compass, which is opening in, I call it the W building, the one kind of across from the Thai place. They're actually sort of upgrading from the farmers market, and they actually, by the way, told me that the grants they got through the COVID relief is part of why they were able to think about moving into a permanent location like that. So that's a great win there. And then there's 4 other ones. There's the Hi Ho and the Crooked Skillet over in the Cooper building, kind of the big restaurant portion there. The Hi Ho apparently is going to be kind of dinner, and the Crooked Skillet is going to be a kind of breakfast and lunch, but all sort of served in the same place. There is Jana Wine Studio, which is kind of it sounds like it's gonna be more of a bottle sales with a little bit of tasting and a little bit of food. That's in the old Indy Commons space. Sounds like that's gonna open sometime in August, so we'll say August 31st. And then the Cowbell Indy, which is over in the old Burgers and Breakfast place, or Breakfast and Burgers. They're apparently gonna be getting open hopefully very soon. They definitely were targeting July. And that's gonna be a breakfast and lunch location.
And then Independence,
Oh, and then Independence Pies, you're right, I knew I was forgetting
Yes.
one. So Independence Pies, which I love the idea, it's a meat pie, sweet pie, and pizza pie. And that's in the old Three-Legged Dog Donatello's space. Yeah, I think they're looking to get open reasonably soon as well, although I'm not entirely sure when for that one.
Great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to make a detailed presentation. I think it was informative for all of us.
Great.
Really appreciate your efforts. Thank you very much.
Happy to do it.
Mr. Pesimir, I think you have the next item on our agenda.
Thank you, Mayor and councilors. Just to kind of wrap up for Sean, obviously, we're a small town. I mean, the reality is we're 10,000 people and we have limited resources, especially as staff. But we try to leverage those as much as we possibly can. And I think in a lot of ways, it sometimes doesn't feel like we're such a small town because we are able to do a lot of things that other communities can't. So appreciate all of Sean and his team's efforts. You'll be hearing more from other departments. I think Sean will probably have the longest presentation other than maybe Public Works or Police. But there's a lot of good work going on here, and I want to make sure that you guys are aware of that. So moving on to this resolution, this is really straightforward. This is just a resolution repealing primarily Resolution 20-1535. That was a resolution that happened after the mayor proclaimed an emergency for COVID. We found that as we went along that there were some additional things that we could be prepared for to make sure that we were fast and flexible if needed. I'm happy to say that I only issued one executive order during this period of time, and it was related to COVID somewhat, but it was actually more related to the wildfires. People were sort of having a hard time finding a place to land, especially during COVID when people needed to stay apart from each other. So we did something there, but other than that, we were able to use the existing rules and laws that we had in place. We also had opportunities to come to council as necessary since this kind of spread out over a long period of time. So anyway, these are easy to put back in place if we need to. The mayor can just simply declare another emergency if we need to for any reason, and if we need additional rules, we have a template to bring that back. But at the same time, if there isn't really reason to continue it on, I don't have any inkling of any reason to be issuing executive orders, which I couldn't bring to council in a timely manner. So at this point in time, we're just asking to undo a couple things that we've done and move forward until we need to change it. So,
And I will just say, I hope I never have to issue emergency declarations again. And so it's pretty straightforward. I don't see anybody jumping up and down with questions. It is an action item.
I move to adopt Resolution 21-1555, proclaiming the termination of the state of emergency declared by the mayor on March 14th, 2020, and terminating additional authority granted to the city manager by Resolution 20-1535.
Second?
I have a motion, second, discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
And opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much. And I just want to say, I really have, emergency declarations are never easy, and I really want to call out Mr. Pesimir for working with these, finding ways to make things work with he and his staff. Having these tools in place has been helpful in a number of different ways, both with COVID and wildfires, and really appreciated his professionalism on working through this. This was something you don't look forward to do, and you have in your red file on your desk at home, and hopefully we will never have to use more again. So anyway, thank you. Anybody have any general council announcements?
I do.
Please.
I would just like to say thank you very, very much to citizen Don Hedrick Roden for the 4th of July parade. It was a big hit. Smiles everywhere. I was actually in the parade, so I got to see both Monmouth and Independence, and it was a great turnout, wonderful event, and I just wanted to say thank you for getting
Thank you
that
very
put
much.
on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for bringing that up. I just want to say that it was really a community-led event, organized by community members. We had over 70 floats, 150-plus cars, 2 F-15 flyovers, the flyover by the Independence Airport, thousands of people lining the street, and nothing but positive feedback so far. So I just thank everybody for supporting that.
Thank you. Additional comments, please.
Maybe a reminder to council and to other folks, the Independence Elks Lodge has its grand opening finally July 24th. That will be the groundbreaking itself at 4 o'clock, and then followed by all sorts of fun festivities and food and beverages. So I would encourage all of our council members to come on down. If you have a shovel, bring it, because we're going to break some ground and build a new lodge. Yay.
Congratulations.
Yes, I have a couple of announcements. First of all, the Independence Hop and Heritage Block Party will be back. It is September 18th. It is music, food, art, spirits, displays, and lots of community engagement. And the Ghost Walk will be back on October 2nd. I've already sent out the letters to businesses, and you perennial volunteers will be receiving information shortly about that. And I'm very happy to take any other volunteers, because we need site hosts, we need some help with organizing at the park, and we need just general floaters who might be willing to come in costume. And there is a new site this year, which is between Gilgamesh and the parking lot on the south side of the bank, which used to house an undertaker. And there are some very good stories there.
Marilyn, what's the date of the Independence Hop and Heritage Block Party?
September 18.
Thank you.
Okay. Everybody okay? Somebody say adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye, let's go.
We're done. Thank you very much. Good to see everybody.
Oh, thank you for being in person again.
Yes.